Okay. So what is variable when? Very simple. I'll just create one simple mapping. So now I have a simple requirement where I just want to read data from one employee table. So this is our source table, a regular simple mapping. And then I want to load to my employee target, source and target. In between, I want to apply some filters. So what filter here is, when I'm reading the data, I just want to pick up only a particular department number. That is my filter. So employee and we have created a mapping, and then I kept a filter department number equal 10 and loading into target. And when we run the mapping, it is going to pick up department 10. So tomorrow I want to extract the department 20. Day after tomorrow, department 30, and again back to department 10. So this way, I want to dynamically change my filter condition value within inside. So right now when I run it, definitely it is going to load department 10 because that is a hard coded value we have mentioned here. Our current mapping, it picks up the data from source, our employee source. And in between we have a filter. So we have three records loaded into target. So right now we have some, and how many records loaded from three records because department number 10 got loaded. So if I want to extract the department 20 right now, I need to go and change this mapping, open the mapping, change it, and then run. So this is common with it. But right now, as per SDLC process, generally whenever you are running, once you develop your program, once you test it, and for everything, if you want to change, and opening the mapping and changing the mappings are not acceptable. Generally, we don't allow to change the program. Means once your program is developed, tested, and kept in a production, so we are not supposed to touch our program. Even you may not have a permission also to open and change it. So, but here my requirement is every day when I run it, maybe today 20, tomorrow 10, and then I get 20. So there is no fixed value such that like I want to pick up only department 10. So dynamically my filter condition value is getting changed. So in this case, every time I need to open a mapping and change it whenever there is a requirement changes or my filter condition suppose change. So right now this is the condition. If I want to change it to 20, open a mapping, change it, save it again. Again, if you change it, you need to test it and all. So first of all, the changing the value in a code is not acceptable. They won't allow and you will not have a permission. So that's the reason we have a concept called variable. So what is variable? Generally programming language, variable can hold some value. It is a placeholder of a value. Maybe programming languages, so they will allocate some memory in a some space in a memory, but here it will do in a different way. So what I am doing here, I am creating a simple variable here. Means I want to assign some value to that and then use that next wherever. So right now I'm just going to create one variable. So where is that? If you come down to project section, so here we have something called variable. So it is like when C program integer x, Java you write it integer x equal to 10, something like such kind of thing. I'm creating a variable here, and when you are creating variables, so variables can be of different. You can give with a different. I'm just giving variable dpt number. So because I'm going to allocate some value which is used for department number. Some name here. So it can be of any name. You can give any name here. So variable department number is there, and you can give data type. So these are the supported data types for this. Text, pure text, numeric, pure numeric, date, alphanumeric. So the combination of what you want to use, all that you can use here. So right now, since I am looking for the number numeric, I'm just giving numeric, and so variable number is variable department number, data type is numeric, and then keep history. What is keep history means? It is nothing to do with values. Once you create a variable and once you give a value to variable, so right now I given a value 10, so again I'm changing it to 20, again I'm changing it to 30. So we want to see historically how many times you have changed value, what are the previous values you have it. So right now you went and changed some value to 30. I want to know previously what was there also. By choosing the keep history all values, it is going to give you current value and previously what are the values you have it. But variable can hold only one value at a time. So if you have created a variable, I can give only one value x. If I give it, I can give 10 or 20. I cannot give 10 and 20. I cannot give array of the values to your variable, but I can give only one. But what is this? It is just only showing you that previously what are the values you have given. Old values also you can see. By selecting the history, it can show you current and previous values also. But variable can hold only one value. Only for your reference purpose, what are the values you have. So those you can show it. So that's why there is no significance for us here whether you choose all latest, no history. It not at all impacting what is the value you keep in your variable. It is only for our reference purpose. Then what is the default value you want to give? So now I am giving a value 10. It is like I am declaring a variable department number and then giving a value 10. It is overall this is the equivalent. Okay, so now it is like in a Java program when you write integer, variable, and the value equal 10. This is how exactly what we have done. What is secure means? Sometimes whenever you are storing your passwords and all any very secured information if you are looking, so for that you can select to secure value so that whenever in future when you are using these values not will be visible to outside. When you go to when you run the mappings and see in the log file, it can show you what are the values of currently placed in your variable. So by selecting secure, they can be encrypted not to make your values visible when you are seeing the log file. So mostly this you can use for passwords, usernames, or if you want to choose for anything, you can choose. Okay, but mostly passwords you can use it. Okay, so this is of no use for us, and this is a value actually I am selecting. So right now we have created a variable, and then for that variable I have given some value. So my variable name right now is variable department number. And the value given currently is 10, and save. So right now I have not done anything extra than creating a variable. So there is a variable created outside, and this is the variable name, value given to this variable, what is this, and this is all currently there is no impact for us, whether you whatever value you select, it is doesn't matter for us over. So right now we have created a variable, we have 10. Previously our regular mapping, what I have done, I created a source and target, and I kept filter condition where department number equal to 10, 20, all that I have used. And this is the, as per the diagram, this is one. So right now, if I want to every time to change a value in a mapping, I need to open and change it. So rather than you directly keeping the value in the mapping, so I want to call, or I want to use, I have created a variable here, rather than you manually typing the value here, whatever value we have in variable, and that I want to use here. This variable I want to use here, so that whatever value you have here, it can be used here. That is one simple scenario. So that's why when I go here, I'm previously selecting typing my value, but since we have created a variable currently, so when you come down, I think it's not showing. So in place of this, okay, value, I'm just double clicking this variable. So now how to call a variable? The first point number one is, previously we have created a variable and just given some number, some value. And now I'm calling that variable here. And whenever you are calling, and you can see some naming convention, hash is a representation of variable, and then a project name, and then variable. So currently, rather than using my value, so in place of this, I'm just using department number equal to variable value. Okay, hash and your project name and a variable. So now what we have done, nothing. So rather than you giving a value in the mapping, okay, so now mapping created. Okay, so now if I run the mapping, whatever value we have given in the variable, and that value will be taken and showing up here. This is the variable. So this is, so right now I'm running this. So it will pick up whatever, it will first to open what is their value in your variable, and then it is going to load data into your target. So 10. So this way currently whatever value we have given, it is picking up from here and then there. So now if you want to change, so currently what is the advantage? So rather than you placing the values in the mapping here, if you want to change it, I can go and change the value here. So now if you want to change a variable value, you can go and open a variable and change the value and run the mapping. So since we have given a value 30, so it is going to, it's supposed to take 30 right now. So now we are changing the value here. We change the value here, and then, so the one advantage right now is that rather than you opening a mapping, we are changing the value in a variable and then it is running. Again, but still from this context, still you are supposed to go and open designer, change the value in a variable. So it is 50% help you will get. What type of help you will get is, you don't need to open a mapping, point number one, and if you want to use this variable in 100 mappings, okay, variable will be one only. So this value you can use in 100 mappings. If you want to change this value, rather than changing in 100 mappings, you change only one place so that it will be reflecting all. So the reusability point of view, first you will get the benefit, and also because you don't need to open every mapping and change the value, because changing here, if you have 110 mappings also using the same variable, you don't need to open every mapping and change it. Just change here, you will get it. But still, one still pain point is to change the value. Still, I need to go to variable and change it. So still, I need to go to, there is a manual intervention still required in opening. That's why every time rather than you opening and changing the values here, what ODI can do is, you can create one table in database. You can just go and create one table in database. Okay, and then what are the values you want to supply to your variable, so those values you can mention here. So what I am doing here, I'm just creating one, whatever, what table names and all is your choice. I'm just showing one simple example. So what I am doing, I'm just creating one table. So I have created one table here, and there are two columns in this. I'm just keeping insert into. So what is my variable currently? It can be of any name, but right now the variable name here is variable department. So currently what I am doing, I'm just, I've kept some value in this table. It is completely out from the in the database. Now nothing to do with ODI right now. I just created a table and then kept two columns here. Department number and then department value. So we have a variable and then we have a value 10 here. Now every time rather than you manually giving. So previously we have created a manual hard-coded value, so that we have replaced with this variable now. And but still we are supposed to change. The one advantage from this context is, even sometimes we will still use this kind of variable. It is not like nothing wrong. It is something wrong here. Even some, let's say, in my entire project, I want to use one variable organization name or organization starting year. So generally organization starting year will be never changed forever, because when you started, your data birth will never be changed. Okay, so there will be still such kind of variables which will never change in the future. You can still keep it, no problem, because and once you keep it forever, unless your company shut down, okay, and we there will not be necessary to change any values. In that concept we can use it. The advantage is this variable can be used in 100 mappings whenever, rather than you taking the values, placing the values everywhere, you just use the variable. But now in the some situation, you may have to change the variable values dynamically on daily basis regularly. So in that case, we have a problem because every time we need to open a variable and change 30, now 40, 10, you have to keep changing. That is the reason I am creating one table in the outside. And in that table, I kept one value, this and this. So whatever value we have here, these values I want to take from here, place in the place of where we are typing the value earlier. So earlier we are typing the values here, 30. But we don't want to type. So since we have a table created and the table we have some value, so take whatever value we have in a table to this particular variable. So if I want to get some value from here, what is the best way? So now I am looking a value for value 10 and that variable name, variable department number. So if I write a query here in this database, select variable value from variable values 85. This is a table name where variable underscore name equal to. So you'll get the value which you require. See, since in this case, okay, we have a single value, even if you write this query also will work. Okay, but I'm just showing best practices. So you can keep multiple variable values in one table rather than creating one table. So I want to create 4-5 variables. So creating one table for each variable, again so many tables. That's why all variable values you can keep in one table itself. So right now, that is the reason. Since I am looking in future, I may keep all so many variable. Let's say variable department number. So I can say variable, okay, maximum salary. So you can all keep can values in single table for whichever variable you are referring or looking your values, that you can get using this query. So right now I'm looking for this variable, so I'm getting. In this case, since we have only one record, even this query also will do for. But this is the best query. In future also you can use it. Okay, so I'm just giving a owner name also here. It is sometimes depends on how you are using your physical schemas. Sometimes it may need it, it may not be needed. But that's the reason always keep the schema name here. So now that I have a query, if I execute this query, it will result some value. What is the value? 10. Okay, so rather than currently changing the values manually here, typing the values manually here, and we have a concept called refreshing. What is the refreshing means? Whenever you say refresh, it will go to this part and then whatever query you have written here, and this query will be executed by ODI. So whenever you say refresh, when you click, generally when you say refresh, it will execute this query. And when we execute this query, now the question is in which database you have to execute, because it doesn't know in this table present in which schema, whether it is in Oracle or a DB2 or in Oracle which schema. That's why in top it is asking under which schema this query has to be executed or this table is present. So already we have a logical schema already created. So I'm just selecting logical schema here and then placing the query here. Is it visible for last? So I'm just placing the query here and save it. So whenever you say, I just placed a query and then just selected where this query has to be executed. When I execute this query, we'll get one column result. One result will get it. Okay. So whatever result you get from this query, and that value will be replaced over here. So rather than we are giving a default value. So whenever you select the refresh, right now I just placed a query, but I didn't say refresh. And whenever you select place a query and select refresh, it will try to get whatever value you have in this table or which is coming from the query as output, that value will be assigned to your variable. So right now in the definition, I'm selecting keep history all values and refreshing is this, okay, and default value is 30, and just close it. So I just created a variable, that's all. If I go and run the mapping, nothing will happen. So what is the value we have in the variable right now? 30. Still it is 30 only. Unless until you go and refresh. Right click this button. So variable value is there. And now we have written a query to get this value from here. So one query is written. So in the variable itself, in place of, I am not giving a value. So in place of this, I have written a query. So to fire this query and get a value from here and assign to here, you have to say refresh. This is a variable, right click and say refresh. So when you say refresh, backside what is happening, it is going to fire your query for your value. You can also see that whenever you say that refresh, immediately one statement executed. What is that? Whatever query is there, that query has been executed, and whatever result you get from that query, and that is now assigned to your variable. So right now we have, I think 10 is the one we have given there, and currently in my target, this is the data we have for it. And now we change the variable value to 10 because in my table it is 10. So now I am going to run the mapping. So right now your value currently is given here is 30, but it will not take. It is a default value. Default value means it is just at yours. And but what is the value it is taking? Whenever you refresh, whatever value we got, what is the value we got from a table? 10. So that 10 is assigned to here. Now that's why if you go to refresh history, it will show you currently what is the value in your variable. So it is a default value. When there is no value, it will take here. Default value means when I'm trying to refresh, this query failed, or there is no data in your table, or something it couldn't fetch the data. So in that case, it will take it. If there is no value coming available other side, it will take this value. But this is the query. So now done. Now I want to change the. Now I want to load data for department 20. So from where it is coming the value for this query, we are not keeping the value here. We are not also keeping the value here. Value is coming from where to mapping here. It is indirectly coming from here. Right now is 10. When you refresh, it is coming here as a 10. And then this value is going here. So if you want to run my mapping to load department 20, so where should I change first? In table. So now I am going to change this table here. So currently what is the value here? Right now we manually updated 20. So right now I updated in table as a value 20. So if I fire this query, I will get 20 here. So now simple question, if I run the mapping, what data might be loaded currently in the, at this moment? It will still take 10 only, because we have changed the value in table. But when this value will come from year to year, when you refresh it. So right now, what is the value we have in this variable? If you see history, it can show you currently 10. Okay, but right now our table value 20. So when you go and say right click and say refresh, now it is going to fire the query which is written here. When you fire this query, definitely will get the value, that is 20, and that 20 value will be assigned to this variable. So even you can also check it. Now if you see history, current value is 20, previous value, and also when it got changed, you can see it. Previous it was 10, currently it's 20. You can see history also. How I am able to see history? In the definition, I have selected all values. If you don't select, if you select either this or this, it will show only 20 only. Latest value only it will show. It will not show the previous value. So that's why history can show you the preference, prior values for your reference. Now if I run the mapping, since we have already refreshed the value, so now when you run it, it is going to take the value from there. 20. So this way we can create a variable, but variable cannot hold more than value. So it can hold 20 or 10. It cannot hold 10 and 20 at a time. Means it cannot hold the array of the values, but it can hold only one value. Okay. So this is a variable. Still, now what is the problem is two problems. If you want to change the value in a table, you have to change it. So there is no other way. Two options for you. If you want to change the value in the table, if there is any automated way, you can do it. But otherwise, it is manual only. Okay, so because what number you want to read, only you know, nobody knows. But sometimes we can change the values, okay, and using program, especially whenever you are working on incremental. I don't know how many of you remember the data was in ETL architecture. I told you one topic, incremental extraction. And the topic will come again. Every day when you are extracting the data from a source, you have to only read changed records only. So the variable, without the variable, your file will not move further. Because in your mappings, when you are developing, you are working on a data warehousing file, your first mapping maybe starts with the variable only. Okay, so this is one simple use case that again department number 10, 20, it is just to make you explain. And one of the best use case for variable is incremental extraction. What is increment? And I show you the mapping later. And even in the interviews also, this is one of the favorite or very critical interview question. Incremental extraction. How do you perform incremental extraction? Or delta series. For all of them, this is the solution actually. So the concept is most of the times when you are reading the data, say for example, so now I have some employee table. Let's say take customer. Today's 4, right? So this is my source table. I will keep this as a source and then link to target. How many records will be loaded to target? So target is forget about. Now I have two records and source and directly link, no filter, nothing. So link it to target and run it. How many will go to target? Two records. So today means I am today is fourth, right? Okay, let's take very real use case. Third. See here I am showing you one use case of, because the very critical one. Interview and also practical. Variable is what is that 50% we discussed. Okay, I am showing you one best use case where variable is mandatory. So right now, and how variable works and all that we already seen. Create a variable and create a query to refresh a variable, and right now right click and then manually refresh it. That part is one section over. But one use case I am showing you mostly where variables will be used in your file, and where generally they will be used in one of the place where incremental extraction delta or CDC. So right now I have a table, customer table having two customers, and generally these two customers are created on 3rd July. Today is for 3rd July. Okay, so today will not be created because still we are our 8 o'clock. Your office starts 10:30. You cannot predict or assume that. So 3rd July is there. So most of the times when the data is extracted from OLTP, let's say OL source means currently assume that is the OLTP. When you are extracting the data from OLTP systems, most of the times will extract one day back data. So what is today? 4th. So current date is 4th. So most of the times the data extraction from the OLTP systems will be done on the midnight. So when date from 3rd to 4th it is changed. So today 4th, when date changes actually midnight. So most of the times when the date changes, very near the time, we'll go to our OLTP system and pick up what are the records or what are the information either created or modified on previous day. So now 4th early morning, midnight, early morning, 12 o'clock, if I go to this database, can you see any data for 4th? So just a date changes from 3rd to 4th. When you go to this table and see in the database, do you see any data for 4th date? 4th date data will not be there because you just 4th started. So that's why when you are running your mapping on 4th, we'll try to look for data for 3rd. Here, are there any customers? I'm taking customer table here. Or are there any records which are either created newly, modified on 3rd? Okay, so right now we have two records here. Okay, so what I will do, take the records which are either created or modified on 3rd only, take and then load into target. So since I'm looking only for 3rd, so I'll take the data and then load into target. Forget about target where you are loading, staging and where I'm only focusing on extraction. Okay. So we are in 4th and I pick up a date. I picked up a record which are either created or modified on 3rd. So how do you pick up that one? Your date should be maybe in source table. You can apply a filter like last updated date is greater than or equal to 3rd. So since date -1 not right, you can use it but not right. Okay, and we'll also see that, but it will work. This date will work, but sometimes it will create some challenges. That is the reason mostly the sys date -1 may not be preferred one. We'll see why. Okay, 4th date, and when I'm running it, I want to read. So today is 4th. I will not have any records for, if I say greater than or equal to 4th, you will not get anything. Maybe 1 or 2 will get it. If you go to ATM machine, you will get some ATM transaction. but the customers and all will not get it. That's why fourth day, I will pick up the data of third and load into target. Fourth is over. Now fifth, we are in fifth. My system date, your calendar is fifth. So now when you are working on fifth, what data you need to pick up? Fifth date just cross from fourth to fifth. So whenever you are on fifth, what data we have to pick up? Fourth. So right now, if you don't keep any filter, what happens? Let's say assume that I kept a filter. If I don't keep this filter, if I am reading full data, what happens? So assume that I didn't keep this filter, and this is the source. We are directly loading under target. I don't have any filter condition. What happens? First day it will load these two records. If you run the mapping again, how many records will be extracted from here? There is no filter. No filter. Source table directly linked to target. First time two records loaded. If you run the same mapping again, how many will be loaded? Again two. Okay, because the reason is there is no filter on this table, and EMP table now, if I run the first time, how many? I have 14 records in the EMP table linking to target. First time when I run it, how many will be loaded? 14. Second time 14. Every time it is 14 only. Same way, source and target if you link, first time to, second time to, every time 2 to only. But if you see, compare, observe, yesterday you have two customers and then you already loaded into warehouse later. But when you run it again today, this customer data you already loaded into target or warehouse. If you pick up again them, there is no use for us because taking. Say for example, now I have 1 million customers here. We have taken two, it is very easy. But let's assume that I have 100 million customers. This is common. In the bigger companies will have 100 million, 200 million. So I have 100 million customers. I have taken loaded. It took like 5 hours because we have 100 million records. If you run the mapping again, how many it will take? 100 million. Again, whenever you are taking the complete data and every day you are processing it, you cannot finish your loads on one day. It may take a couple of days. That's why on daily basis, what is expected to is every day only capture changed records. So that way you will be only picking up only changed records, and also it will be very easy to process it. So right now I have 100 million records. Yesterday I have loaded. First time means you have to need everything, so that is fine. Because we have some first time we are loading it, so we need everything to be dumped here. So you are vacating one house from to other house. First time you need to pack up all the goods and keep it there. Later you can buy one TV and all slowly. That is very easy. So first time you have to move it. There is no option for it. So let it run for 2 days, 3 days. First time we will bear it. But from the next day onwards, if you again take all the data, there is no use because all 100 million you already have there. Again you are picking up, there is no use for us. That's why on daily basis, except first time, on daily basis, try to pick up records which are changed only for particular day. Which particular day? If you are running on fourth, you pick up for third. If you are running on fifth, you pick up for fourth. So that is the reason fourth I am picking up. And how to pick up? So we are just kept one filter. If you don't keep a filter, we have seen what happens. So I'm running this since there are only two customers extracted. So when I'm running it on next day, what data I'm supposed to read? So this should be on 4. No, now yesterday we have extracted these two, loaded into target. Okay, you can use timestamp in case the worst case we have a overlap, and even we can bear sample of overlapping regards also. Okay, So yesterday we have run it. These three are loaded because these two are satisfying these records. First day. And since when you are running on fifth day, so do you need, and there is no change for in the table. Whatever we have on this third, if I go and see on fourth, if I go and see fifth also, same data is there. These two customers only we have, and there is no change for them, there is no extra customer also. So in that case, if you read again these two loads, there is no use because same data you already have it. So that's why when you are running on a fifth, you try to pick up only records which are any changes or anything new on the fourth. But right now there is no change. So if I run this, if I apply this filter on this table, how many records will come? No record. That is what I want. Since these two you already have there, and there is no change, and also there is no extra, so we are not supposed to read anything because we don't have any extra. And then what happened on fifth? So this guy requested to change the address, and also there is a new customer added. When on fifth day, okay, and this customer changed requested to change the address, and also this there is a new extra customer added. So now I am on sixth. So which data I am supposed to read? So my filter condition should be so my calendar date 6. When I'm running, I need to run data which is either created or modified on 5th. So I need my filter last updated date is greater than or equal to 5th. So how many records will satisfy here? Two records. So since this record and this record, for this there is no change, ignore it. And this is having some change. This is having a new record. Pick it up. So now you'll get to 2 and go here, and in the target either you insert or update or incremental SCD1 to whatever you wish, you can do it. So this way every time from the transactional systems, OLTP systems or source systems, when we are reading the data, we are supposed to extract or read only changed records, incremental. For that I need this kind of filter condition. So when you are running on fourth for third, and every day I am running, sixth I am running, so I need to pick up the records which are modified on fifth. So right now this is the filter condition I want to place in a mapping. So in this mapping, if I place a filter, if I keep a date 3rd July, 5th, 4th July, it is not going to work. So every day I need to open a mapping change. Today I am running, my date is 4th. So I need to open a filter and keep it is a 3rd. Next day I change it to 4th. So now since every day I need to change this value here, so what you can suggest, what you can prefer? Variable. So rather than you changing. So now here I need the whole episode I started to give an example of variable only. Okay. So now here, this is a big concept, not a technical concept, it is a project related concept. And the variable is a very standard interview and practical. So maybe if you want to keep a formal date, that will be 3rd July. Keep on changing the date. Yeah, so now I'll come to that. So 3, 4, 5. So we have to create a filter and keep changing the value 3, 4, 5 every day. So we cannot change the values in mapping. So what do you suggest? Variable. So you create a variable, and for that variable you pick the value from where? Variable you create here, and value for this variable you have to pick up from the table. So this value comes. So every day you change the value in a table, and then so since even we know some logic here, so that's why we can have a mapping to change this value in the table automatically every day. So yesterday, what is the logic we are looking here? Let's say first day it will be, it's supposed to be 3rd July. Value in a table it will be 3rd July. So here I will not keep any value here, and in entire thing I'm not going to I'll not keep the dates there. I will keep variable here, and a variable will have the dates here. 3rd July 15. So next day it should be 4. Next day it should be 5. It should be 6, like this. It will continue. Okay. Since we know that every day before running, let's say 3rd July we are supposed to run today. I completed. What should be the date for next day? It is 4. So now there is a logic every day. Whenever you are running your mapping, when you refresh it, the value should be incremented by 1. So you can have simple mapping to change this value by 1, by 1, by 1 before you running. Refresh it, and you can do it automatically. At the end of the course, will be coming to know. Okay. So in this still it is, there is no extra concept we discuss here. Variable only. Okay, so here I have a requirement to use a variable to make my mapping incremental or incremental extraction or capture only changed records. So I can keep a variable here, and every day I'll try to read only changed records from there. So example, this one, I'll create a variable. So you'll be writing a query. So select date. Let's say you have a, I can show you, we have these mappings ready, I can show you later, but you should be understanding the concept here. Fourth, we can do create a mapping. Simple. We can,
I mean, in a month there will be 28 days, 30 days, 31. How can
your next day system, say for example, when before you running it, date by one it will automatically take. If you use that date function, if you use it will automatically take. So here only topic again variable use case. Apart from that, nothing here. Okay. The only thing is, as I told, system date minus one. Generally, you can use it. We don't use it. We'll go by variable. The reason is today we are running sixth. Let's say fourth. System date minus one will definitely give you third. We are happy. Now what happened? Next day we have to run fifth. But what happened? Due to some reasons, we couldn't run the load. Let's say because ODI is down, your some problem we could not run. And now I'm running my mapping on 6th. Since you have used system date minus 1, what should be the date? 5th. So you'll be skipping that 4th because
but you can change that -1 to -2.
100 mappings have it.
You can put it in variable that 1 to.
That is a formula. That is leading to the variable only, right? So that's the
One more
system.
variable to it and
No, next day 3, 4, that all nobody will work. System date minus 1 today, later on something. That is again leading to variable. Again you need to change in the variable. And again that value you have to come from somewhere in the table only. Okay, so that's why system date minus 1 again leads to this only. You are changing again, bringing it to variable only. Because minus 1, and that's the reason. Even again, if you take system date minus 1 also, if you are looking any particular day, say in future, and I'm not looking for system date, I'm looking for one particular day. Or first time I'm running my mapping, I want to read all the record. All that will lead to lot of confusion. For everything, you can make it, try to work it with a hard some rule, but this is the most common way, the best way. You can change the variable date, whatever date you are looking, it will picking up. Simple. Okay, so that is the reason. You create a table. So if,
That means you are saying date function will use, right, instead of sysdate.
No, date you will place a value here. It is a date
Date.
column. No, it is when you keep a date column, that is the data. When you create a column with the date to data type, you can apply anything on that. So the column data type is date here. And
But the value, how will you change it?
in a mapping you change it +1. Say you have a system, you have a DOB column. I want to increment by what? DOB +1.
That means all the months will be.
No, you don't need to worry about the Oracle dates will taken care. That's all. If it is April,
Will take.
System will take. Say you have a next year, you have a year 2015. It will know leap year, not a leap year, everything.
Instead of giving the particular value that is updated greater than or equal to system date.
Not here, not we are not giving system variable only value.
No, why? Because system date after golden block, the system date will take the current time, right? Current date.
Current, and that's why no, I'm not taking system date here. We ruled out system date. We have variable here. Here also variable, and I'm taking the direct date value from the table, like how I'm taking it. So system date is ruled out because it will always lead to problems. And also the problem would be when you are working on a multi-time zone. If you one country also fine, and you have different time zones parallelly loading from different countries, all that will be a problem. So this is one of the best use case. Every time we'll be using this to for run an incremental. Okay. So I can show you the mapping. We have, don't worry about this is very important. You can start working on this. Later I can show you how to develop this mapping because it is very important. Okay, so now coming back to variable. So currently we know only create a variable. How to place a query to refresh a variable. But still one problem is that to change the value in ODI, I need to say refresh. Right click manually and then refresh. Still I am coming over here. Of course, comes from the database table, but still we need to change the value here. That's why this is the 50% of the variable. The next second half of the variable, 50%, will be discussing in a topic called packages. So how variable is created and how it refresh mechanism works, how you can use it, all is what right now. But still one simple, still manual thing which I am doing right now is, whenever I want to get a new value for this variable from a table, I need to go and say refresh it. So even this manually right clicking, refreshing also not required, and refreshing a variable, even we can increment the variable automatically by one, and you can create a loops with the variable. So a lot of other things are there that will be discussed in the packages. Okay, so for now, how to create a variable, use it. That if you know, that is sufficient. And the second half will be discussed in a package. And when we start a package topic, that is the concept. Okay, so next we'll see on Monday. We start practicing this and we'll see. And these variable values can be used in any place wherever you want. And a couple of examples I can use in a topology as a place of the folder, in place of the file name, and in place of any configuration. In many places you can use it. Okay, so next we'll see on Monday.